So many people missed out on a life-changing opportunity to buy Bitcoin. And they're thinking like, hey, I just need to find the next thing that can be as big as Bitcoin or even bigger. Well, that opportunity might be right under your nose with Ethereum. And in this video, I want to lay out some reasons why this sleeping giant could take over Bitcoin as the #1 cryptocurrency. I'm going to talk about this as a blockchain developer who works the Ethereum protocol on a daily basis, what I'm seeing in this space and how it's increasing the value proposition of Ether and how that could help it, overtake Bitcoin as the #1 cryptocurrency by market cap. So before we get into that, if you're new around here, hey, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to become a blockchain master step-by-step from start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. Oh, and also before we get started, there are tons of people impersonating me down below in the comment section. So I will never ask for your phone number or your funds for cryptocurrency. I will never ask you to invest. So don't reply to anybody that looks like me in the comments. So can Ethereum become the next Bitcoin? So let's break down what would have to happen in order for this to take place. So if you go to a website like coinmarketcap.com or CoinGecko, anywhere that you look at cryptocurrency prices, you'll see the cryptocurrencies in order there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll see Bitcoin's #1 and Ethereum's #2 at the time I record this video. So what would have to happen for Ethereum to move up in those ranks and be #1? Well, Ethereum's market cap would have to get bigger than Bitcoin's because that's how these coins are sorted. It's by the value of all the cryptocurrencies in existence for each particular cryptocurrency. So for example, all the Bitcoin in the world is worth more than all the Ether in the world. That's why Bitcoin is #1 and Ethereum's #2. So it's not because of this unit price that you see here. This is a really common misconception when people say, oh, Bitcoin is #1 because the price is 32,000 and Ether's price is 1,200. That's the unit price. It's not the market cap. So you have to look at this number here, which is Bitcoin's market cap versus Ethereum's market cap. So all the Bitcoin in the world, at the time of recording this video, is about $600 billion, and all the Ether in the world is about $141 billion. And so if Ether were to become the #1 cryptocurrency, it would need to gain 4 times as much value right now if the Bitcoin price were to stay the same. So now that's not quite as crazy as if you're thinking about the unit price, because if you look at the unit price, it looks like Ether needs to increase by 30x in order to flip Bitcoin. And so it would only have to appreciate by 4 times rather than 30 times. Now, that being said, it's probably not very likely that Bitcoin's just going to stay the same price and Ether is just going to magically shoot up by 4x and surpass Bitcoin and stay there forever, right? There are lots of scenarios where this could play out. They could both increase at the same time and then Ether appreciates faster and eventually outpaces Bitcoin and takes over it. Bitcoin could stay relatively the same while Ether goes up. Bitcoin could go down while Ether goes down, stays the same, or goes down slower, right? There's lots of different ways that this could play out. So however this plays out right now, Ether needs about 4 times as much money to flow into it in order to surpass Bitcoin. So now you have to ask yourself, why would this happen? Why would a lot more people buy Ether than Bitcoin and cause the market cap to go up? But at the end of the day, it's really hard to value cryptocurrencies because they don't work like stocks. They don't work like actual currencies or commodities, right? They're this different category. And at the end of the day, you really have to look at supply and demand and ask yourself, what could cause the demand for Ether to go up relative to Bitcoin? So there are lots of reasons why I think that can happen. So one of the big reasons that I think Ethereum demand can skyrocket compared to Bitcoin's is the simple utility value of ETH. You can do a lot more with Ether than you can Bitcoin. So if you own Bitcoin, all you can really do is buy it on an exchange, send it around on the Bitcoin blockchain to somebody else and hold it in a Bitcoin wallet. But with Ether, you can do a lot more. Sure, you can buy it, sell it, use it like money, but you can also do things with earn passive income, all right, with staking right out of the box with Ethereum 2.0, but you can't do with Bitcoin, right? You can use it for DeFi. So almost all of the major DeFi activity and innovation is happening on top of the Ethereum platform right now. So you can use ETH itself as an asset, as leverage for trading. All right. You can use it as collateral for borrowing. You can borrow against your ETH. You can yield farm with it to earn brand new cryptocurrencies. And you can also use it to pay for gas fees on the Ethereum network. And so if we see, all these different stable coins coming to life and gaining market share that are powered on top of Ethereum, then people need to hold Ether in order to pay the gas fees to send those stable coins around. So these are all things you can do with ETH right now on Ethereum as it exists today. And you can't do any of these things with Bitcoin on Bitcoin as it exists today. Okay. So basically, these are more reasons why someone might want to hold Ether, right, as opposed to Bitcoin, other than just the number can go up. And that honestly is the biggest reason that I think that there's a higher upside to the demand for Ether over the long term, which could move the needle and make its market cap grow to exceed that of Bitcoin's. And while this is a very short, concise list, I think these things alone are enough to increase Ethereum's value proposition over that of Bitcoin's, okay? So I think some of the reasons that a lot of newcomers don't see why this is such a big deal is for two reasons. Number one, they haven't really used Ethereum. They haven't used dApps. They haven't used DeFi. And number two, they don't really understand the traditional financial system and what you can do in that system, and then what you can do now trustlessly, permissionlessly with a DeFi and Ethereum. So, for example, like right here when I'm talking about using leverage or borrowing or using it to farm yield. Well, basically, let's say you are a long-term Ethereum holder and you never want to sell your ETH. Well, you can take out loans against your ETH. You can mint stable coins with your ETH that you don't have to pay taxes on your original ETH. And then you can go do stuff with those stable coins. You can flip other altcoins, right? And make a profit with your ETH and make it work for you. Use that leverage. All right. You can use ETH as yield farming to generate new assets. So basically, you deposit your Ether into smart contracts and you earn a passive income reward in a brand new token that lets you get exposed to a new asset altogether. You can use it for collateral for leverage trading. So if you go on an exchange and you want to increase your exposure on a short or a long position, then you can use your ETH as collateral. And you can do this all in a trustless way with no KYC or anything like that. You can just go to a website. There's no red tape. No one has to approve you for a margin account or a brokerage account or anything like that. And the list really just goes on and on. But I wanted to clarify that a little more because I think that goes over a lot of people's heads who aren't accustomed to traditional finance. And that's okay. That was me when I first got into blockchain too. I had to learn all this stuff as I went along. So there's no shame in that, but I think it's important to call out to see the long-term value proposition of the Ethereum network. All right, so now let's address some of the critiques of this viewpoint. Because a lot of people are saying there's no way Bitcoin is a superior cryptocurrency, ETH is just a scam, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So one of the biggest critiques is that Bitcoin is a hard money with a fixed cap total supply, and that Ether is not a hard money because there's an infinite supply, right? They're just going to, it's inflationary, all that kind of stuff. So, number one is the dynamics of this are going to change, especially if EIP 1559 gets approved. So check out one of my last videos where I talk about my top predictions for Ethereum in 2021, how I think EIP 1559 is going to ship. This is where part of Ether is going to get burned whenever new transactions are created. So with a combination of that, moving to proof of stake, that's definitely going to change the dynamics of this. And the other big thing is I just don't think the masses really care about this as much as Ethereum's critics do. And a lot of the critics will say, well, hey, Ether's not institutional grade. But the truth is Bitcoin is barely institutional grade. Institutions haven't really been paying attention to Bitcoin for that long. It's only been within the past 12 months that we've seen all the big news about institutions buying this huge amount of Bitcoin. And it's not going to be that long before Ether is next. It may not be the number one institutional pick this time around in 2021, but it's starting to gain quite a bit of attention. And it's definitely the next logical choice for institutions behind Bitcoin. We've seen people like Raoul Pal from Real Vision come out in support of Ether and his $20,000 price prediction for Ethereum this cycle. So Ether is not this sketchy altcoin penny stock that some people think it is. It's a big cryptocurrency that people are starting to take more and more seriously. And it all goes back to that utility value that I was talking about a minute ago. And as far as institutions, becoming more familiar with Ether, I think a lot of that's going to change as, stable coins gain adoption. So we saw news recently about, the US giving a big, thumbs up for banks to use stable coins as settlement. Well, I talked in that video about how Ethereum was a logical choice for stablecoin settlement. And if more and more banks are doing this, then of course they need to hold Ether for the gas fees. They're going to have to use the Ethereum blockchain itself. And as use cases for Ethereum increase and more people just actually get their hands on it, then they're way more likely to use Ether. That's a really big point because honestly, I think one of the biggest reasons that Bitcoin is the number one market cap cryptocurrency is simply because of awareness, right? It's the oldest, it's stood the test of time, it's had the most media attention. And I think that's honestly one of the reasons that's just number one. So the dynamics of that could change dramatically as Ethereum, a technology, gains more ground. And for that reason, people are having more reason to hold Ether. And the last big critique is that hey, Ethereum has so many problems. It has no real utility value because the gas fees are too high. It's too slow. It's not scalable, all that kind of stuff. So my answer to that is the end is literally in sight for those types of things. So we're going to have layer 2 scaling very soon on top of Ethereum 1.0 as you can use it today. So basically, this is going to make Ethereum transactions cheaper. It's going to make them faster. And that's going to happen a lot quicker before, some, famed Ethereum killer is going to be able to just come out with a superior technology and then somehow manage to gain a massive network effect by porting over thousands and thousands of developers, a million users and applications on top of their blockchain. Like, it's probably just not going to happen anytime soon. And the other big thing is that Ethereum 2.0 is going to ship relatively soon in the grand scheme of things. Okay, we're in Ethereum 2.0 phase 0 right now. Staking is live, the beacon chain is set up, and it's only a matter of time before the rest of these phases roll out. So nobody's got a crystal ball and knows exactly when that's going to be, but on the grand scheme of things in Ethereum's history, it's not that far away. And when all these things are done, then this criticism won't really be much of a point anymore. And so lastly, what's my personal take on this, right? What's the no BS? Here's all the reasons we think this could happen. So what do I actually think? Is this going to happen? Could it happen? So I think it can happen, okay? But it doesn't have to happen in order for, number one, Ethereum to be a long-term success as a world computer, and number two, to make life-changing gains with Ethereum cryptocurrency by holding the asset itself, okay? So full disclosure, I do hold Ether. I also hold Bitcoin, but I hold a lot more Ether than Bitcoin because of this personal conviction that I think Ether can be more valuable than Bitcoin by market cap over time. So do I think a flippening will happen during this market cycle, assuming that this bull run continues and that we go to much higher highs than we are today? Well, I don't think so. We might see some sort of temporary move that would maybe Ether will flip Bitcoin. I mean, crazy things happen. That's the thing you have to understand. This is all about probabilities. Sometimes you think something's likely, something's probable, and then something that is even crazier happens than what you thought was even likely. So if it does, I think that Ether would probably temporarily flip Bitcoin, but I don't think we're quite to that place where it would replace Bitcoin as the number one for the long term. And one of the big reasons is talking about that sort of institutional bet. I think that institutions are favoring Bitcoin over Ether for this particular cycle, but that doesn't mean, like I said, that you couldn't make bigger returns with Ether during this cycle, okay? Because Ether has a smaller market cap, it's much easier to move the price than Bitcoin. Now, of course, that assumes that the same number of people are buying it, but that's what I think about in the short term. So in 2021, we may not see Ether flip Bitcoin, but over the long term, I do think this is possible. And again, it doesn't have to happen in order for Ether to perform really well and for the Ethereum blockchain itself to be a long-term success. So, hope you like this video. As always, smash that like button down below, subscribe to this channel. That really helps these videos out so that more people can find these, learn about blockchain. So if you're as fascinated with this new technology as I am, then how can you get started today? Well, you can go to my YouTube homepage. You can find any of my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free for you. And if you like those courses and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, then I can show you how to become a blockchain master step by step from start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. Show you how to, the programming languages from scratch, whether you're a beginner, whether you're already a programmer, so that you can learn to build your own application and land a high paying job, become a freelancer, build your own project. Just click the link down below to sign up today. All right, so that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching Dapp University.